It's been a while since Bethesda released a good game, and Starfield is, well, it's definitely a game. Even I, who can be considered a fan of this legendary studio, can't make this decision if the game is good or not. That's why I'm going to break down this review into chapters and then see if Starfield succeeded. I'll be rating every major aspect of the game, such as visuals, gameplay and more, and then averaging my rating. This video will contain only minor spoilers, so if you haven't played Starfield yet, you can still safely watch this video. The game begins with you playing as a miner on the moon Vectera. After your first drilling operation, you stumble upon a strange artifact that reveals even stranger visions. You wake up at a clinic and create your character and choose your background. Your chosen traits can slightly affect some quests and dialogues, providing more information from NPCs or offering different ways to complete a quest. Starfield is overall a visually stunning game, given its vast world to explore. However, I must say that after exploring several planets and moons, the terrains start to feel repetitive. This also applies to some interiors, which can be sometimes located in the same places on completely different planets, and with the same number of NPCs. Nevertheless, exploring the uncharted corners of the universe is an absolute delight. The entire game is stylized somewhere between modern technology and 90s sci-fi. However, the issue I've had so far is with Starfield's user interface. The UI can be initially confusing and disorienting. For example, there's a display at the lower left showing your watch. This watch primarily indicates your character's condition, and if you enter a new planet or just any location, it will display the condition of that place, the gravity, temperature and oxygen. But it stays there for a few seconds and then it switches back to your character's conditions. First I thought you can't really change what the watch displays, but I was wrong. You can actually switch that by pressing F, which is the same button for the scanner. That's just the watch. But what about shipbuilding? So far, I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, but somehow it seems to work. Maybe it's just me, but the UI should be intuitive and not feel hastily slapped onto the screen. Then there's a much bigger problem with this UI, and that is the unclear naming of loot. What is Grendel or Grendel or whatever it is? That was my most asked question for the first hour into the game. Whole inventory system is like Skyrim's vanilla inventory, but 10 times worse. Everything looks the same, including the names of some items, but modders have already fixed this issue by releasing Star UI. Gameplay in Starfield can be divided into two parts, ship-based and on-foot gameplay. On-foot gameplay is the classic style where you play as your character, engaging in combat or shooting enemies. A new addition is the boost pack ability, which you will need to unlock as a perk, as your character starts with no knowledge. This is quite different from the sole survivor in Fallout 4, who was a war veteran and could use power armor right from the start. Starfield also came up with this different and new leveling system, and it's basically the achievement system from Fallout New Vegas, with some minor changes. And these perks also relate to ship-based gameplay. Ship-based gameplay without any perks feels clumsy but highly rewarding, so I recommend investing some points in flight-related perks. The ship itself has its own problem, which is the UI of that ship. This UI runs for some reason on lower frame rate than the game itself, so when you are flying in the space and controlling your ship, the movement and just controlling of that is running in 30 FPS. Of course, you don't have to engage in combat exclusively. You can explore new places where you can build your own base and expand your territory. The base building system is very similar to one in Fallout 4, but it's not as complex. One thing though that is interesting to mention is that you can build little machines that will give you missions, and these side missions are infinite missions you can do over and over again. It's something simple like transferring some items from point A to point B or killing an NPC. This is a feature that Todd Howard wanted in some of his games for a long time. Actually, since 2011 when he lied about this in Skyrim. You can also hire companions or other crewmates that can help you on your travels. But companions are probably the worst part of Starfield, honestly, like from the gameplay perspective. There's almost no difference between having one or not. They won't really help you and are unfortunately useful only as carrying mules. Probably only companions worth mentioning are those you can have romance with and adoring fan, which can be spawned to your game by choosing a specific trait. He's a good companion, but for completely different reasons than gameplay. He's good only for the memes and his iconic voice actor. That's really sad when the best companion is literally a joke from a different game.
Oh, I'm not that interesting. I like coffee, I like tea, and I like worshipping the ground you walk on. Well, you technically don't walk. Angels tend to glide.
But there's a great new feature that was added to Starfield. It's the photo mode similar to one in Fallout 76. It functions the same way. Pretty much. It's easy to use and allows you to take high quality photos, just like the thumbnail for this video. The photos you take will appear during loading screens so you can see your absolute masterpieces. Starfield captures the atmosphere of space especially through sound, whether it's the ambient sounds or the music composed by Einon Zur. There's really nothing to criticize here. It just fits so well, there are no words for it. So, after the Vectera incident, you set out to find the constellation and join them. They are a group of artifact collectors trying to discover their true origin and meaning. The first half of the game is somewhat dull, mostly involving artifact collection and gaining powers from them. Then a turning point occurs, and it takes the story to a completely different level, becoming one of the best plots Bethesda has ever crafted. My only issue is with the player's freedom, because you can't eliminate everyone in the constellation, unfortunately, it's not New Vegas, but you don't really have a choice even in the quests you are doing. There are probably like only, maximum of 2 endings to a side quest and nothing more? It's really a lazy design if you think about this. Like, games are not feeling as games anymore because of basically this. At least RPGs are not feeling as games as they used to. But I won't rate it as low because of the genius idea of New Game Plus. Though the New Game Plus could be a little bit more polished after completing the main quest the first time, because if you really think about it, the main quest is just one big fetch quest, which is a shame because they could expand this new universe and expand the concept of New Game Plus even further. But the real question now is, can I recommend this game? That's a very tough question, but if you've played other Bethesda games, I don't think you will be disappointed. If you haven't, it's hard to say. My final rating of Starfield is 7 out of 10, but for players unfamiliar with Bethesda it's 6 out of 10 or even less. Really depends on what you want from this game. It's not revolutionary for the game industry, but it is revolutionary for the studio itself. Instead, they achieved the absolute peak of their old engine. Maybe the only thing they weren't able to do still was to have a normal vehicle and not just a horse. Thank you for watching and see you next time.